They were fast. They were cool. They let a 4-year-old be a speed demon. That's right, we're talking big wheels and other plastic tricycles of the 1980s, so stick around. Hello and welcome to Days of Dorker Past. My name is Rob, and in this episode I'm going to talk about big wheels, power cycles, and some of the other plastic tricycles from the 1980s. Now, I never had any of them, mostly because I had a gravel and dirt driveway, and the closest pavement I could use was a major thoroughfare, and I probably would have died. So I'm just looking back at these little plastic machines of speed and wishing I would have had some. Now, a lot of the ones that I'm looking at are just awesome looking. I can't comment on how they handle, how they drive, any of the cool features of them. I'm just looking at their visual, what they looked like, and what toy line they represented, what movie they represented, and cartoon that they represented. There were some really awesome ones. So without further ado, let's get to number one. Number one on the list is Rambo. Made by Coleco for their Power Cycles line, Rambo and his Freedom Fighters were a Coleco toy property. Now, what is so awesome about this Power Wheel is its turrets. Off of the handlebars, you had a dual turret with a big target that you could aim at the neighborhood cat or your parents, whatever you wanted. But you were in control. You were a freedom fighter. You were Rambo. On the back of the cycle, they had a flag that had Rambo emblazoned on it, and it was awesome looking. Also, for those that were able to get it, you got an official Rambo headband. Tell me that ain't awesome. Number two on the list is also part of the Power Cycles line by Coleco, and it is the ET Power Wheel. Now, this bike, do you call them bikes? This Power Wheel is very nondescript. It's just a red color with stars on the big wheel. I guess ET came from the stars, so that kind of fits, but it's more of like a patriotic star design. Who knows? But anyway, off of the handlebars, you had a awesome plastic molded ET sitting in his basket. You too could pretend to be Elliot running away from the FBI and the cops, flashlighting to get you. Number three on the list is Ghostbusters. That's right, the real Ghostbusters cartoon got its own big wheel, also made by Coleco in its Power Cycles line. What was great about this is you had a huge Slimer on the front of it that actually made ghost noises, apparently. I can't comment on that, but I'm sure they were pretty awesome. The stickers that went around the big wheel were some of the ghosts and goblins from the real Ghostbusters cartoon, which were some of the best character designs. So you got those on the big wheel with a Slimer that made noise, and on the seat you had the cast of the real Ghostbusters. How awesome is that? Number four on the list is the Thundercats Thunder Tank Pedal Power Cycle, made by LJN. To be honest, this doesn't really look like the Thunder Tank at all. It more resembles the Cat Slayer. You have a awesome lion's head on it and claw grips for the handlebars. Other than that, there's nothing really super special about this bike other than its cool color scheme and its emblazoned with the Sword of Omen's Thundercat symbol. But that lion head, that is awesome. This is something I wish I would have had as a kid, definitely. Definitely. Now, number five, made by Coleco yet again, is the Mask Thunderhawk Big Wheel. What was awesome about this big wheel was off of the handlebars, you had the front half of Matt Tracker's Thunderhawk. And with that, you had the doors that swung up and turned into wings. Now, it looks like in the picture that you could possibly put action figures inside this Thunderhawk, even though it would have been too big for the actual mask figures themselves. In an odd choice by Coleco, you had Matt Tracker's helmet is like a hood ornament on the front of Thunderhawk. A really odd choice, but awesome nonetheless. Now, number 6 on the list is the Transformers Big Wheel. Also, again, made by Coleco, which is really weird considering that they were a competitor, but they were getting all of these awesome franchises to make big wheels for, or power cycles as they were known in the Coleco universe. Anyway, the Transformer bike transformed. It starts off with a really neat, sleek car design off of the handlebars. But you could pull the sides off to make arms on your handlebars and the front flipped up to show a face. Now, I don't mean anything by this, but it's very reminiscent of the GoBots with the design, or very early Hound and Ratchet type of faces on it. Now, I don't mean to put down GoBots. They even had a Power Wheel of their own at the time, but it lacked no imagination and didn't have any neat features. Now, number 7 on the list is a personal favorite all-time thing for me, and that is the Smurfs. Again, part of the Power Cycle line, the Smurfs Big Wheel had a huge plastic Smurf head coming off of the handlebars. The bike itself is the awesome tried and true blue of the Smurfs, and it's covered in great artwork. Other than that, there's not really much to this bike, but it's awesome. The colors, the imagery, the feels that I get looking at Smurf memorabilia. And as an added bonus, you could get one of these awesome license plates to attach to it. They didn't come with it, but they're awesome. Number 8 is Knight Rider. Yes, you too could have your own kit, although pedal power, and probably a lot cheaper than the Power Wheels version that came out. Anyway, what was awesome about this is you had the digital readout of kit in front of you. You had stylized handlebars that remind you of the steering wheel that Michael Knight himself used to drive kit. And as an added bonus, you had the spin-out lever that once pulled as you're in full speed, I guess you spin out. You do little figure eights. No, probably not that much. Figure C? Maybe? Anyway, this was probably the closest that you could come to driving kit without spending an arm and a leg. Now, number 9 on the list is another personal favorite and one that was actually made by Marx's Big Wheel line, and that is the Muppet Show. There were a couple different designs to choose from, but this Kermit one is the best. You feel like Kermit is hanging with you, he's your buddy, and he's along for the ride. Number 10 on the list is another Coleco toy property, like Rambo, that was brought to the Power Cycles line. And that is the Sectar's Dragon Flyer Big Wheel. What was awesome about this, at least in looks, is that you had the Dragon Flyer toy for the most part, well, at least the front half of it, attached to the handlebars. It had the same gossamer type of wings that you could control somehow, I'm not sure how, and it just looked awesome. And Sectars, they don't get any love, there's hardly any merchandise out there, so this, big props, very awesome, wish I had it. Number 11 on the list is G.I. Joe. Another Power Cycle from Coleco. This one actually had 2 different styles to choose from. One is very much in tone of the slightly realistic nature of the first series of the Joe figures. And it looks just like a bike. It's got a bug shield, a headlight, just a olive drab color scheme with G.I. Joe stickers emblazoned on it. But the other one is the Laser Defense Force. Now, let's be honest, they took this exact same mold and turned it into the Rambo cycle. But this is the OG, this is G.I. Joe, so it makes it even better. But it's the exact same bike, with the exact same guns on it, the exact same targeting system, but missing the flag and headband. Now, number 12 is the Voltron Power Cycle. Let's talk about awesome here. You have the black lion head coming out of the handlebars that you can flip open to show the face of Voltron. The ears flip down to give Voltron his awesome helmet. And what more do you need than that? That is so rad. Now, number 13 is the Dungeons and Dragons Power Cycle. I mean, look at this thing. You have an awesome dragon design off the handlebars. You have awesome Dungeons and Dragons artwork on the seat. This is a piece of art. Yet again, like the Sectars, D&D memorabilia and toys of this nature is so rare to come by nowadays. I would love to have one of these in my collection. I mean, as a kid I would have loved it, but now oh man, I gotta look for them, but I can guarantee that it's high dollar, high price, and I ain't touching one. Anyway, that was 13 of the best big wheel style of tricycles from the 1980s. Like the disclaimer said at the beginning, I never had one of these, so this list is built just on visuals. I'm picking what I think looks awesome, what I wish I would have had, and stuff I would love to have in my collection today if they didn't take up so much room and were so expensive. Big wheels are a piece of iconic history from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. First created by Marx, who was a great toy manufacturer at the time, that unfortunately went bankrupt, and they sold that license to Empire, that continued to make some big wheels afterwards. But they're more of the classic style. There's nothing wrong with that. I would have loved to even have a classic one. But these are some of the ones that look the most interesting, are based on the best toy and cartoon lines, and they're just plain awesome. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little look at the power of the big wheel from the 1980s. If you like what you saw, leave a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear it. And if you want more great content like this, just subscribe. And if you hit the little bell, you'll be the first to know when a new episode drops every week. But until next time, keep being rad, stay dorky, peace out.